Welcome to the Boss Ladies Breakroom, the financial literacy series, brought to you by Boss Ladies Maurcrei and Miss Camay,
where we educate, inspire, and empower our audience to take action in building generational wealth and protecting your family's assets with trust documents.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Boss Ladies Break Room. I'm one of the Boss Ladies, Miss Camay, and I'm here with my fellow Boss Lady, Maurcrei.
Hey guys.
We are so excited to share our launch series with you guys today. We wanted to give you guys an introduction to the Boss Ladies Break Room and tell you what it's all about, what you are going to get when you join us in the break room, and valuable tools and resources that will educate you, inspire you, and empower you. What do you have to say about that, Maurcrei? Chime in. We're in the break room.
Let me tell you, I have been excited about the Boss Ladies Break Room for I don't know how long. We've been talking about this for a while now, and I'm just excited to bring real, true facts to the masses, make sure that people understand their do's and don'ts with a lot of this stuff. And then also, I'm so excited to be able to work with you in this capacity because, you know, we're together all the time. We get together and we do lots of things, but when we talk, honey, we talk. And
yes,
the essence of the Boss Ladies Break Room is one of those places where I think we can really, you know, come into the break room and be like, listen.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Because people don't know.
Grab your coffee. Okay. And okay. We're here to take a break, but you know, we might combine our 15-minute breaks together, you know, give or take sometimes.
That part.
Just depends on how good the conversation is, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing. This is our break to really come together in sisterhood, making sure that we're, you know, tapping in with folks and giving information that they can actually go back and research. That is news that they can use, so to speak.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that we're able to do this because this small break actually adds to people's day. Actually, you have some history in, you know, radio and lots of broadcasting. Can you fill us in on yourself? Tell us, matter of fact, that's what we're here for.
Let's
talk about who we are and why we chose to do this. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your history, and why you decided to do the Boss Ladies Break Room?
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't love talking about themselves, right? I sure do.
Okay. 80% of America.
Yeah, exactly. So I am a 20-year legal professional. I've worked in civil litigation for over 20 years. I went to college kind of late in life. I was well into my 30s, and I was a manager at Victoria's Secret at the time. And I really wanted a career of purpose. You know, retail career was great. I gained a lot of great experience, you know, being in management, especially with that brand, you know, Victoria's Secret, that huge brand. I learned so much about branding my years as a manager that I never imagined I would be implementing into my business today, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So went to college, got a degree. I've worked in civil litigation my entire career, actually, and went through a homelessness experience back in 2011 to 2012. And coming out of homelessness, getting a great job at the time, I kind of stumbled into plus size pageantry. And I became a representative, a state delegate, if you will. I represented the city of Everett and competed in the first ever Miss Plus America pageant or Miss Washington Plus America, excuse me, the state pageant to the Miss Plus America national pageant. Okay. And, you know, kind of took the world by storm, came in and, you know, from nowhere, no one essentially knew who I was, and won a title. And I went on to represent Washington State in the American Beauties Plus pageant, won a title there. And that really kind of started this, pageant career for me, if you will.
Mhm.
And in pageantry, I was introduced to the podium. I was introduced to the microphone, right?
Okay. Yeah. Introduced to the podium. Okay.
Yes, yes. And I chose a platform essentially. I chose a cause that was, very important to me.
Mm.
And that cause of mine was kidney disease. Both of my parents passed away from kidney failure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I began to, advocate for, kidney disease and educating people on kidney disease and how kidney disease can be prevented because it absolutely can be prevented for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
And so that really, is where kind of this whole, public speaking, webinar presentations, kind of came from. From pageantry, I went into plus size modeling. So
Mhm.
I've rattled runways all the way from Seattle to New York.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I've seen it.
Yes. And on the plus size spectrum. So I've always been an advocate, for women to love themselves, love their bodies,
Mm,
and just embrace, what God blessed us with.
mm,
And so that message, those roots of mine, transferred into pageantry as well. I was pushed into radio from there. So I was the executive director and the host of the Miss Camay show on AM talk radio
mhm,
for 2 seasons and loved it. Loved being on live, on the air radio.
mhm.
I did some consulting work and had a mentor on the Oprah Network early
Ooh,
on in my radio career. So I
okay.
learned invaluable tools, and experiences from being mentored and working with that young lady there. And from there, this is I'm kind of leading up to when you and I met, and when
Yeah.
the fabulous Maurcrei came into my world in my life. I unfortunately was bullied in the workplace. And it was a
Mm,
legal workplace, actually, working for a Fortune 500 company.
wow.
And around that time is when you and I met. I was hosting the Miss Kamei show, and here we are. The rest is history, right? We've done this before. This is not our first rodeo here.
Okay, so true. I actually remember that same day that we met, and I know we're going to get into that at some
Yes,
point
yes.
because I think the conversation of working together is so important and making sure that we can help people understand that concept so that they know that they can turn around and partner with people and learn from one another in order to get to a better place. And I
Yes.
think that financial literacy as a topic is so broad, right? There's so
Hmm.
many ways that you can tap into financial literacy. And so I think that the Boss Ladies Break Room is going to give us an opportunity to really stretch all of that out, open up the conversations, get some feedback from folks who are watching, maybe some topics of conversation that we can have. So we
Yeah.
want to make sure that when we're talking to people and we're having a good conversation with one another, that people are engaging. So, guys, while you're out there, make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe to both of our pages. And you can check this broadcast out on Spotify and all major platforms that offer podcasts. So we decided to do a bit of a duel with this. Um, so there's going to be an area of our conversation every single time that we get on, guys, and it's going to be called the call out. And before
Yeah.
we
The call
do our
back. We're
call
calling
out,
you back.
listen, there is stuff out there, news out there, information out there that people don't know about. And sometimes it's best to call it out because if you've done your research and you're getting all your facts together, maybe you and I can put some ideas together that are really going to make sense with the knowledge that we actually have with our training. So I think that those things are important. Calling out certain topics are very, very important. One of them that's near and dear to me is actually why I decided to start doing this.
Yeah, we want to hear about you now. Like it's your turn. Turning the
Okay.
spotlight on you. And I
Okay.
want you to tell us and tell our audience about you.
Okay. So I am an 8-year bodybuilder and fitness, I guess, connoisseur. I've been helping people in wellness for that long as a secondary purpose in my life. But mainly, my teachings have been in being an educator. I have been certified to teach finance to high school students for 6 years. And I decided to move on from that. But I went ahead and got myself certified because the things that I was teaching these kiddos, I needed to make sure I was doing myself. So that was financial literacy, starting a business that was well set out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then making sure that I was doing all the right things as a business owner. So I decided to start what is considered a consulting firm. A creative consulting firm is derived from business, wellness, and investment, the things that I've actually gone to school for and got certified in. I just put it all together and made sure that it was a place that people can come. That way, they have a one stop shop when they need to be branded or they need to learn a little bit more about how to properly present themselves when they're speaking to a crowd or things like this. The things that you're really good at, Miss Kamei, is making sure that you have direct conversations with people, even if it's a production. Those types of things are very, very important. So
Yes.
yeah, that's why I got started in business. But as for what I'm doing here, I happen to be a product of a household where
Mm-hmm.
there was no financial literacy taught.
Say it
And
loud in the
then,
back. Say it loud
hey,
so they can hear you in the back.
moms and dads, financial literacy, okay, it's a
Yes.
thing. I being a product of a household where I had a single mother who was doing the best job that she could,
Mm-hmm.
and she's hustling, bustling, doing all the right things. I realized that now that I'm a mom, I'm going to have to kind of change those generational curses in order to set her up properly, right? And
Right.
so I'm breaking generational curses by way of what my community did not offer me. And
Mm-hmm.
going into the schools and being an educator and seeing how these students were challenged by lots of things reminded me that back in the day, I was in their position and nobody taught me just the basics,
Right.
just the simple basics. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that topic. And I want to make sure that people understand just how important these topics are. Now, I'm going to talk to you about why I combined wellness and financial literacy all into one place. Okay. I do think that business, financial literacy, wellness, they all go together.
Of
And this
course.
comes down to the concept of investment. So we're talking about self-investment and self-care. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about financial investment for your loved ones later on. And we're talking about generational wealth. And
Right.
so I think those are the things that encompass the purpose for my company. And as long as I've been coaching people in fitness and getting well and living well, I know that it takes a certain mentality to get the rest of all of those things
Absolutely.
together. So
Absolutely.
that is what I am doing here. And I'm super excited to be doing this with you. Now, you know what
Yes.
time it is, right?
What time is
The
it?
call out. I'm looking at
Okay,
this
is this the
little.
call out?
What is your
Let's,
call out?
what is my call out?
Yes. So my call out today is talking about underserved communities and why that is so important because of the lack of education that we have. And then your call out, I think, has something to do with what we need based on those things. So tell me a little bit about what you do. If I were to come to you as a brand new client, what do you offer? What is it that you serve the community with?
Well, a list of what I don't provide is much shorter.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. Yeah, let's get to the nitty
But
gritty. I like
that
it.
well, I'm a registered document preparer. So
Mm,
I have utilized my 20 years of working in law and experience working in litigation, working with lawyers.
okay.
And I have built the foundation of my consulting business.
Mm,
So as a registered document preparer, I prepare estate planning documents, business
oh
documents,
wow.
nonprofit documents,
Mm,
any legal, business, family document that you think you potentially would need. Um, and how it aligns well with your financial literacy, the part of this project that you bring to the table
Mm-hmm.
is in business. There are essential documents that you need in place for your business to protect your business, to protect your brand, to protect
Mm-hmm.
your intellectual property, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the nonprofit sector, there
Mm-hmm.
are essential documents that every nonprofit organization needs in order for the board to run that organization the way that it was intended to be ran, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Estate planning documents. Every single adult in this country that has 18 years of age should have nothing less than a last will and testament, a
Mm.
healthcare directive, and essentially a power of attorney, giving someone authority to be, to act as your agent.
Girl, I
And
actually do need to work with you. Hold on. Wait, like
yes,
I need to get myself, my daughter lined up
yes,
because you're speaking in terms of business. So think about it for the common person. The common
correct,
person needs legal documents. Can you speak to
correct.
that a little bit? What is it that I would need if I'm coming to you just, and saying, "Hey, my mom passed away and I know I'm not prepared for this." What would you be telling me?
So I would initially ask you, about your assets when it comes to estate
Mm,
planning.
yeah.
What does your estate look like? What are your
Mm.
assets? And if you have assets, are those assets protected in a revocable living trust? A
Ooh.
revocable living trust is essentially a pass through, essentially a protection.
Mhm.
It is a trust that assets can be transferred into. So the ownership rights of your assets are transferred to the trust. So the trust essentially owns your asset,
Mm,
and your trust has beneficiaries that you designate who is going to inherit those assets once you
mm.
pass away. And having a revocable living trust established and having it funded, guess what that does, Maurcrei?
What does that do?
So
What?
that eliminates the probate process for families.
Oh,
When
legally.
correct, legally. A
Mm,
person's last will and testament, when they pass
mm,
away, is essentially filed with the court. So what that
mm,
does is that notifies, that becomes public record, right?
mm,
That this person passed away.
mm.
So that starts your protection against identity theft of this family member that has passed away, because a lot
Wow.
of people who pass away, there's, essentially outside of your state documents, your death certificate,
Hmm.
which isn't filed, it's not public record anywhere, essentially. So
Wow.
when a last will and testament is filed with the court, that becomes public record that that person has passed away.
So
And
anyone can look it up. Anyone has access to that.
absolutely, right.
Mm,
In anything filed with the courts, in any jurisdiction, every city, every jurisdiction, it's public record. Unless the
wow.
records are sealed, which, they have to go through the formal process for that. But
Hmm.
anything that happens in the court, any ticket you get, any lawsuit, if you're sued, that is all public record. So
Wow.
filing of the will essentially is notifying, the public essentially that this person has passed away.
That's
And
beautiful.
when the decedent has placed their assets in a trust,
Hmm.
it immediately transfers ownership of those assets to those trust beneficiaries. So let me give you a scenario. When my mother passed away, we had prepared her estate planning documents for her. She
Okay.
owned a home, she had a vehicle. We titled the asset, the deed of her home, into that trust.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so, in the event that she would have passed away, still owning that asset,
Hmm.
um, my sister and I would have had the power and the authority based on being beneficiaries of that asset. We would have been able to, continue the mortgage on that home.
Hmm.
We would have the power and authority to list that house for sale and split the proceeds as outlined in my mother's last will and testament.
Okay. Wow.
Without those documents, even so let me backtrack a little bit. There's so many clients that come to me and they say, oh, I don't need a last will and testament, I don't have anything, I don't own anything, I have a house and I have a car. Okay, that house is an asset and it's a several $100,000 worth asset
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
is not protected
Hmm.
if it's not in a trust.
Right.
So in the event that, your family member does not have a last will and testament, has not established a trust, and has not funded this trust with the ownership of those assets, when that person passes away, the estate now has to go through formal probate court, which
Ugh.
is expensive. You've
Maybe
got to
part.
have an attorney, to go through probate court and represent your family's estate, essentially.
Yeah.
And probate court takes quite some time, and then you are essentially at the mercy of the court to order ownership of the assets of that estate.
So you're saying that in the event somebody passes, it is best to have documents which you would provide to protect basically protect your rights. I mean, if you're going to court, there's going to be some things that are going to be, looked at and paid attention to in order for people to make sure that the right people are in charge of said estate. Am I correct?
Well, the law will take precedent over a situation when
Right.
somebody passes away that doesn't have these documents in place.
Okay.
So as a document preparer, I prepare these documents for my clients at the
Hmm.
direction of my clients. I'm not
Got
an attorney. I'm not giving anybody legal advice. I
right.
do have attorneys that I work with in various sectors of law for all of my clients. My
Hmm.
workplace bullying clients, I have employment attorneys that I refer them to.
Got
Estate
it.
planning, clients, estate planning attorneys that I work with, right?
Hmm.
So essentially, what we're doing, Maurcrei, and this is something that we are talking about in the Boss Ladies Break Room
Hmm.
for the rest of 2025, is protecting the legacy of our generational wealth.
Mm, I
That
love
that
that.
that is what
Exactly
these
it.
documents essentially have the power to do.
I love that. So I appreciate you sharing that because I think what we're talking about here is making sure that our loved ones are either safe from something or safe to do something, which is beautiful, right? There's going to be
Yes.
lots of different areas of need and lots of levels with that. And that is where my next point is in this. So I'm glad that you shared that. That call out, making sure that documents are prepared and making sure that people know what those documents are. Because
Correct.
most of the people that I talk to, you know, they've had someone pass in their life, they weren't prepared.
Correct.
They're put their scaffolding money together, they're trying to make sure that this person has a beautiful home going, they don't know where they're getting their extra this, they're fighting with family, they're fighting
Correct.
over property. So I think that this is great for us to have this conversation, and also it's good for me to know what it is that is going to be laid out for 2025, because let's be honest, we're in 2025 now, and here we are still trying to figure out how to help folks get to a certain place. So this information, it's free game. It's free
Right.
game. And I think
Right.
that they deserve to have all the
Free game
game.
in the break room.
Free
Free
game in
game
the
in the
break
bake
room.
break
Okay.
room.
Meet you for coffee. Free game.
Yes.
Like, instead of donuts, we're giving away free game. But let me
Yes.
tell you one thing. There's something very special about you, and I wanted to highlight this because we have a very, very close bond. I think one thing that has come up in conversation with us just over the phone is that I think that the world has been challenged to accept one another in such a way that they don't offer each other this type of education. And
Hmm.
I say that because I come from a mixed community of folks, a background of people who, for lack of better words, were oppressed from education.
Hmm.
I know that the people in my family are very well educated, but it's because their predecessors laid out
Right.
the floor for them and set them
Correct.
up in such a way that they could do that. Now, not everyone from my community is able to do that. And just so y'all know, I am a Creole woman, okay? So I have the French side and the African side, and I call it the African American side. But if we're talking descendants, neither
Hmm.
one of those communities was set up for success. And
Right.
still to this day, we're going to dig into some of this stuff because people need to know and need to hear it. And maybe it's just our opinion, right? I
Sure,
will let
sure.
you guys know, I also am not a financial planner. I'm not here to help anyone financially plan, but I am a financial educator in that I am helping my community do better, know more, and feel empowered to go out and do it. And what is our concept? Inspire, educate, and empower.
That's
So
right.
that is
That's
what
right.
yeah, that is what I'm doing here. And the reason why I brought you up, Kamei, is because I would look at you and think that you are just any old woman that I've seen walk in the street, any old Caucasian woman that I'd walk right past and not think
Right.
twice about. But there's
Sure.
something a little bit different about you as well. And I think that us having a deep conversation about uh, the underserved communities that need
Hmm.
this work and need this help and need this game is
Yes.
super important. So can you just give me a little bit of your background, and then we will call it a day, because baby, the break is almost over.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we're
The break is
listen,
almost
we're taking a
over.
long
I
break,
know the
but
boss is looking. The boss is like,
listen,
what are they doing in
well,
there? Yeah.
yeah, they're
And
too
no boss,
close.
only boss ladies in here. No bosses,
Exactly.
just boss
Boss
ladies.
ladies, exactly. And we won't tell, we're meeting for happy hour afterward. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
Like,
right.
that's not none of their business.
That's
So
right.
give me the tea. Give me the tea about you. Like, looking at you, I think one thing, what is your background? What is your nationality?
Yeah, so I appreciate you edifying me in this conversation
Absolutely.
because throughout my life, I've never really quite fit in, in any kind of class of or group of people in school,
Mm,
especially in corporate America, for sure.
mm,
And I'm a lover of all people. I'm an advocate for my community, and I was raised, by a Sicilian Italian mother and a Hawaiian Portuguese father.
mm,
So I was raised not seeing color and not seeing differences in people.
mm,
I lived my adolescent life in Italy and Greece. And when we came back to the States in the late 80s, I did not look like anybody. I
mm,
did not talk like anybody. I wasn't black, I wasn't Mexican, I wasn't Indian.
mm,
Um, and regardless of what some people may think or assume looking at me, I definitely didn't fit in with the white kids either.
mm,
And so I have experienced, great race discrimination
mm,
um, by women of color, by other women of color, who
mm,
look at me and, think that I'm, a white woman and, call out, all of my privileges, et cetera, et cetera. And that has been, very hurtful to me, very hurtful.
mm,
In
mhm,
corporate America, I walk in the door in corporate America and I do not talk like them. I don't look like them. I don't sound like them.
mm,
And I definitely don't fit in that corporate America box. But at the same time, I walk in the door completely confident, extremely
mm.
bold, very courageous, relentless in my pursuit of life because that is who I am. And
Listen,
that,
that might be part of the issue, okay? You're
right, right.
too fabulous. Listen, no, I really think that most of the time we stop thinking about what that person's real issue is and start thinking it's us. And that really actually might be the issue, is
Yes,
their lack
yes,
of confidence. I always feel like people are, a person's demons are interrupted by your energy. And so
yes, yes.
um that's really what happens. But I think that I appreciate you sharing that with me, because I think it will broaden our spectrum to one another and sharing our experiences. And I also think it will enlighten folks in knowing that, if they do not identify somewhere, or don't have a sense of belonging, as in regards to a race or a culture,
Right.
they can understand a little bit different from our perspective. So
Well,
in that, I want to make sure that we talk about a couple of things before we go. Um, this is a safe space and this is a space of comfort. And I want to make sure that those folks that are out there that are watching and listening recognize just how important this is for us to have a conversation because, sure, financial literacy is so important, but
Right.
your voice deserves to be heard. Your
Yes.
opinion matters. We absolutely are welcome to hearing about what you would like to see from us and what you would like
Yes.
to learn about regarding financial literacy because you can hop on Google all day, baby, but until you get the actual experience from the
Right.
people who have lived it, it's a
Yes.
lot different.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, Miss Kamei, can you tell me what we have to look forward to in the next coming months?
Yeah, so what you can expect from me in the break room, the boss ladies break room, I'm going to empower you to be bold and courageous. I'm going to encourage you to stand on the mountain all by yourself.
Mm,
And coming from where I have come from, that is exactly what I have done. Unapologetically yourself.
mm-hmm,
I want our audience to be empowered to walk in their greatness.
mm-hmm,
I want to empower our audience in to take action in their business as
mm,
entrepreneurs. Because check this out, you guys, we're boss ladies here in this break room, right? But this
mm-hmm,
break room is not my, end all be all. This
mm-hmm.
job is not the end all be all because the job is never going to flourish without us there because we're the experts that are there doing the work.
Hello.
So I want to challenge our audience to change their mindset and their mentality, understand how powerful they are. I
Mm,
want our audience to know that if they are in the workplace and they're being bullied, that
mm-hmm,
they have options, that there is power in that, hostile environment.
mm-hmm.
There are steps they can take. There are actionable steps that they can take to protect themselves and to advocate for themselves, right?
Mm,
I want
huge.
to encourage our audience and educate them regarding being a professional business boss lady in every break room you walk into. And
Hello.
that involves the education, the literacy, the knowledge, the documentation, the proper documents, the proper business documents,
Right.
because all of those, as you have shared with your platform, the
Mm-hmm.
mindset, the health, the physical wellness, the
Huge.
financial wellness,
Mm-hmm.
it's all combined, Maurcrei.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yep.
can't be, healthy here but unhealthy over here. Our life won't be balanced.
That part. Yeah.
So there, as a boss lady in business, as a boss
Mm-hmm.
lady entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
women, we have got to cross our T's and dot our I's. We need to make sure that we've got the documents. I provide the preparation of documents at very affordable prices. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, our audience does not need to pay attorneys and attorneys' hourly rates for document preparation.
Girl.
And I know that because I've been a paralegal for 20 years.
Right. Right.
So that's what they're going to get from me. I'm going to talk about, the rights with to Americans with disabilities and their rights in the workplace,
Wow.
how they can address being bullied in the workplace, appropriate business documents, nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
documents, estate planning documents, coupled with your financial presentation so that people understand they're going to get the knowledge, the financial literacy knowledge over here in the Boss
Mm-hmm.
Ladies break room.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also going to be documents that are going to align with that people definitely need to consider having. And finally, protecting all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Boss ladies in break rooms, iron sharpens iron.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned so many things in business from you over the years of being friends with you and meeting
Mm-hmm.
you in the break room and chopping it up, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Always.
So the foundation, my life where I'm at now, the foundation I have in my marriage with my husband, it's protected.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone knows, for example, Kobe Bryant, the
Mm-hmm.
amazing, amazing, successful entrepreneur that he was.
Mm-hmm.
He died without a last will and testament.
Wow.
He didn't have a trust. He had no estate planning
Girl,
documents in
what?
place. So
Kobe Bryant?
Kobe
The Kobe
Bryant,
Bryant? Okay.
Prince, Prince. Can you can you imagine the value of the estate of a musician like Prince or
Girl,
a an athlete like Kobe Bryant?
listen,
That
you know what comes to mind? This just sounds so weird, probably, but there was a cartoon called Darkwing Duck, and Darkwing Duck was his he lived basically in the intro of the cartoon. He was at the top of a mountain full of coins, right? He
mm,
was so rich, and he had to take care of his little nephews, and those nephews would go into this vault, and it was just full of coins, right? And I
mhm,
always thought
mhm.
about, like, when that old guy passes away, he's going to need those nephews, right? But
Right.
imagine if Darkwing Duck took all his assets, all his money, and put it somewhere so that each of those nephews could have a better life.
Right. Well,
And
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 let
that's
me
so crazy that you
yes,
said that.
and
I
let
don't
me
know
let
why
me
that came in my head, but yeah.
well, no, but it's a, you know, like a lot of cartoons that we watched growing up as children had adult methodologies behind them,
Yes.
right? But we
Hmm.
weren't adults at the time to recognize, hey, this is
Right.
like an adulting thing right here. Right, right.
Right.
Let me
For real.
make one final point about, your estate.
Sure.
So the basis of the Boss Lady Break Room is, building wealth, educating, inspire, empowering, and then protecting it all at the end of the day, right?
Right.
So we have families, that we are estranged from. We have
Hmm.
family members that for one reason or another, aren't in the family any longer, right?
Hmm.
Under the law, that brother, that sister, that mother, that father, the law doesn't identify estranged, right?
Hmm. Okay.
So when you are building your portfolio, right? Your
Hmm.
asset
Hmm.
portfolio,
Hmm.
and you have this sister or this parent or a sibling that you do not want to inherit $1 of your estate,
Mm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So you have to designate that in your last will and testament. And
Mm.
if you
Hmm.
don't, there's a saying, I'm going to write you out of my will, right? So if you don't write that person out of your will, guess what? Guess what happens?
They get to make decisions.
Well, they don't get to make decisions, but
Okay.
under the law, if they're a sibling of yours or a parent of yours or vice versa,
Hmm.
under the law, they are going to inherit a portion of your assets under the law.
Woo!
Because the
See?
the, the law, and this is what happens in probate court. The,
Hmm.
the court will order distribution of the assets to your heirs at law.
Wow.
And if you don't have a document that says, and Sister Jean is not getting $1, Sister Jean is going to inherit a percentage of your
Girl,
assets.
Sister Jean is gonna be balling. Okay, so let me give you a little breakdown of what I'm going to offer,
Yes,
because I
please.
think
Yes.
that the combination of what we do is so special. Mainly, I'm giving the nuts and bolts and the inside scoop behind the scenes of what we all get a chance to see in setting ourselves up for financial success. Now, I say that because financial success can look like many things to many people, but what are the nuts and bolts to making sure that you know the inside scoop behind the closed doors of all of the things that people don't tell you? So
Mhm.
I'm the person who's kind of the conduit to making sure that you're making all the right steps with regards to finances, with regards to then into planning, and then
Yes.
also making sure that you understand the concepts that you're going to be addressed with. Because truth be told, we do a lot of things in our regular everyday lives, and we don't realize how little we know about the steps that
Right.
we're taking. We don't
Yes,
have the actual
exactly.
definition and know whether or not it actually makes sense for us. That's one big thing. We're just, a lot of people are just floating through life and getting through things. And I had a friend who inherited um upwards of 9 properties in Washington State, and 2 weeks prior he was living life like, somebody, some random on the street. And actually, he used to refer to himself he used to call himself a star, which was really odd. I'm not going to bring up that star right now because it's controversial. But he used to call
Well,
himself
I
that.
mean, but we're in the Boss Ladies break room right
Listen,
now, girl.
we're in the
Like,
Boss Ladies Break Room, girl. He was like, "Yeah, I'm so and so Diddy."
okay, that's for the next
Anyways,
series.
we'll get right. We're gonna, but so the reason why I say this is because this person had to go and seek someone out to help himself become a business. Okay. Now that he has his properties, he's figured out how to do it right. We sat down, we talked about it, we had to lay it all out. And had he not had the steps to becoming a well-respected investor in the community. Also, he now owns a business. He's up and running with that. Those types of documents and those types of steps that need to be shared is what he hired me to do. So we're here to give away the free game, but we want to make sure that you know kind of the nooks and crannies of
Right.
getting to where you need to be, because
Right.
there's facts that people are not going to tell you. They're just going to say, oh, come on in, I can help you with that, and they're going to charge an arm and a leg, and they're not going to give you the game. They're going to
Right.
go, oh, I don't worry about it, I got it. And you're going to be sitting there like, okay, well,
without the information.
okay, well, I guess I paid an extra $250 for this thing and I don't have to worry about it. But when someone comes back and says, hey, you have this document, did you know that this is what this means? And you can't answer the question, I'm your girl.
Yes.
I'm the one who's going to come in and give you some real bare bones information so you can put it all together.
Right. That's tangible.
And know how to couple it. Right. And know how to
Yes.
couple it with
Yes.
your future, which is Miss Camay. So, Miss Camay,
yes,
let's take it home. We are getting ready to start this thing and we're going to be smoking all year long, you guys. So please be prepared because there's a lot more information coming your way. We can't wait to see you guys in 2025.
Yeah, be sure again to subscribe to our YouTube channels, Creative Consulting on YouTube and Miss Camay International. The series will launch January 1st is our first series. And every first Wednesday of every month in 2025, you can catch us on our YouTube channels. Please subscribe to our channels. Please share the platform. Share it with people who you know are going to need this information. Join us in the Boss Ladies Break Room. Grab your coffee, grab a notepad and a pen, and come have a seat and join us. We'll see you guys on January 1st, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday, January 1st, and every first Wednesday of every month thereafter.
That's right. Meet us in the break room, guys. We love you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Mwah, mwah.
Thanks for joining us in the Boss Ladies Break Room for the Financial Literacy Series.
Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channels at Creative Consulting Concepts or Miss Camay International. And join us the first Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on YouTube.